Hello and welcome to a new type of content called Fresh Surfs, where instead of doing the deep dives in a video, I will go live and go through a few characters that just don't have a lot of story behind them really, but they are cool characters anyways. And I asked for this on Twitter, and these were some of the characters that you would like to know more about. So let's go through them and see what they are about, or at least what we can find about them. Next character is Katilda, who is from Midnight Hunt. So I was surprised to see that people wanted to see her already. It's a witch from there, and the witch is the leader of the Dawnheart Coven. Which is a cool thing to be, because the Dawnheart Coven is a coven that was put into life because a sort of small town got overrun by werewolves before Midnight Hunt even, and then these people ran from there, and Kalia was the first one to gather people around and make a coven, be the first one to make the humans strong again. And I think that's cool. So she's a Celestia commander where she likes to protect her people, she likes to be there for them. She has seen a lot of stuff, she has seen werewolves destroy her home before. So I think that's why the Dawnheart Coven is the coven that is actively fighting against the night becoming a forever thing. So this town is now called Hollowhenge, and the town is now just a collection of buildings in a circle, and in the middle there is a large hole without buildings because the werewolves that were there apparently made a large explosion in the middle. And this town is in Keswick, and we see that the Dawnheart Coven is in Keswick now as well. I think that's an interesting little part there. Her card herself is just a 2-mana 1/1 protection from werewolves, so that's cool. I at first thought that was just because, well, it's a werewolf set, so it's nice to have some protection from werewolves. But the cool part about the story is that she got attacked by them before, and she will not let that happen again. Human creatures you control have add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors, so the creature that you are tapping. So really strong ability to make all your humans into mana dorks. So also the tokens, I think, because they have their own colors as well. And then for 6 mana you may put a +1 counter on each creature you control, so they don't have to be humans. So she makes them stronger, she makes them attuned with the world or with the forest. And then her flavor says the angels may have abandoned us, but Grindanu has not. So this is a random god, a god that gets confused with the snake god that's in her own story, but they are not the same. And Grindanu is sort of a protector of the people, but not really. No one on Innistrad is a protector of the people, it seems. She has 2 cards that she has flavor in, which is this one, Return to Nature, which is the green destroy artifact or enchantment for this set. Even Steel and Stone return to Grindanu in time. So you can see that Grindanu is really the deity of death or something, or not being there at least. And then there's Evolving Wilds, where it says Stantia blazes with new heat, Nephalia's tides are chaotic, and everywhere this unnatural frost. The land is sending a warning. So the Dawnheart Coven are the first to see these warnings. And really cool land, really cool Evolving Wilds, where we see the water, the fire, the forest. Not really a plains. And sort of swamps maybe, but we see some different types of lands here, which is which is what I think is cool. And then she has her own story as well. So in this story, we have Lennar, which is this person who sort of is the person responsible for making the party or making the Harvest-Tide Festival a good party. And she just goes around making people happy, helping them with the party, helping them with the preparations. And and she ends up being with her sister, who is called Cinia, and we can see their difference in personality almost immediately. We see that this person, Lennar, says Katilda, the leader of the coven, promised she could fix the imbalance of the festival if it was a successful one, and Lennar wanted nothing more. When the Dawnheart Coven asked her to oversee the festivities, she knew what the witches expected from her, to do what she had always been doing. She would keep the people fed, the decorations bright, so it's cool that we see the decorations here as well, a little bit of the pumpkin stuff and the candles, of course. And the atmosphere festive, a simple job that was getting more and more difficult because people were getting scared. They heard more and more howls in the evenings, and this really scared these people. Also, we see that when Cinia, so the sister of Lennar, who we see here, put on a mask, we can see that that Lennar says, "Please take off that mask." She hated the mask, and she really felt bad vibes from it. You can see the mask here, by the way. She could really feel bad vibes from it, and I mean, if her sister is looking like this, I would be a little bit scared at least as well. And then Lennar instantly says, "Let me talk to Katilda, perhaps she can help, and please take off that mask." So if anything is going on, people of the Dawnheart Coven go to Katilda to ask for help. And so we see that they try to go to her. Cinia says fine, took off the mask, and put on another mask because everyone was wearing masks. She had made it along with Lennar's deer mask and was proud of both. But I'll keep it until they come back. She didn't believe Katilda and the coven had something to do with the missing people. There was something about the kind look in her eyes Lennar trusted. So what if they were strange? The witches had been hermits for so long, it was natural to be cryptic about their rituals. Perhaps they didn't want their magic to fall into the wrong hands. And considering their power, Lennar didn't blame them. She had seen them split trees in half with a gesture or conjure water from the earth for thirsty festival goers. But another thought crept about her mind. What if the rest of the coven was not as harmless as Katilda? Was the witch really in control of what was happening? So we can see that they are doubting Katilda slowly. Then at the center she sees her on top of the dais, and her coven were doing another one of their rituals. We can see that they had started simple enough with plenty of water and beer and bright candles. There was dancing and singing that sounded more like howls, but the townsfolk did not seem to mind. Many of them, including Lennar, felt like howling themselves, so we can see that Katilda is already howling, apparently, which is a sign of being a werewolf. Katilda's costume was getting more extravagant with each passing day too. Today, along with the grassy shoulder pads and the massive headpiece meant to mirror the glory of the sun, she carried a mesh necklace made with ribbons and some sort of animal teeth. So here we can see a little bit of how that would look with these, werewolf skulls. And a cool part about this art as well is that we can see the tree-like patterns there as well. So Lennar walks up to Katilda, and Katilda turned up from her work, surprise with it written on her face. Lennar asks, "What is this?" And she says, "They are teeth." She said plainly, "Werewolf teeth." "They don't look like werewolf teeth." And Katilda says, "Well, they shifted back into human form after death, but they still have the essence of the wolf." So we can see that Katilda is really tempting these wolves and really, apparently, does not mind killing people for it. "We are not your enemies." Katilda stepped down from the dais to face Jagger. Harvestide cannot succeed with witches alone. So Jagger is, by the way, a person that walked in and started to challenge the witches. Lenore says they are here to help us, but she doesn't really believe in the witches anymore. And Jagger says, by sacrificing people. He moves towards Katilda, and we can see that he is much longer than her. He could easily brush her aside with the sweep of his arm. Lenore could feel the witch and the rest of the coven preparing for a fight. Nobody is sacrificing people, Cinia said. Her voice came from somewhere else, and here we see that she has her scary mask on again, and there's a certain power coming from her that compels the people to stop. Everyone stopped, even Jagger and Katilda, so she's not all powerful, as if someone put them under a spell. Their anger died down as fast as it had erupted, and this is an important part. You can see that Cinia, the sister, had took on the mask again. She's emanating some weird vibes. We can already feel that she's a little bit evil, and she's taking over the reins. She is really showing that she has power and showing that she can stop these doubters more than anyone else. The people around her clapped for this. The music rose again, and Jagger opened his mouth to speak, but nobody was paying attention to him anymore. Neither to Katilda. The villagers were circling Cinia, so she has taken over the reins. That she has shown that she is more of a powerful leader. She goes on to show more weird stuff to them. Then it had been 2 nights since they found that mask. For the 10th time that night, Lenore ground a snake under her booth. So Lenore's really finding snakes everywhere all of a sudden. These were not there before. It was small as a human finger, brown and covered in bile, like the ones before. We can see that Cinia is getting more and more confident, and she has a strange effect on people. Wearing the mask made people listen to her in a way that they didn't listen to Katilda. So we can see that she has a really different vibe there. So they continue to party, they continue to be happy around Cinia, but Lenore needed her sister more than ever, but the Cinia she knew was gone. The last glance Lenore stole of her that night was when Katilda offered her a headpiece from their coven in exchange for her mask, because Katilda was onto it as well, this problem. The headpiece had deer antlers instead of sinuous sticks and was painted with blood mixed with mud and leaves, maybe to show that they could be fucked up as well. Lenore was not close enough so that she could not hear what the 2 women said to each other, but Cinia laughed in Katilda's face and turned away, showing no respect for her previous leader, and really not something that you should do. Later, we go into the forest and we see an egg that Cinia has been conjuring. For a moment, Lenore thought Katilda meant the woman in the shadows. Oh, so she is telling her that there is a familiar voice that is whispering, and we can see that Cinia is being taken over by the mask, and she says, "Don't move, here she comes," while standing around this egg. And then for a moment Lenore thought Katilda meant a woman in the shadows, but instead Katilda pointed her staff at her sister with calm determination. The edge of the wood sizzled with unnatural light, and Lenore could feel the beat on her face as the staff began to gather its killing energy. Without thinking, Lenore bit down on Katilda's hand. The witch howled in pain and let go of the staff. "You stupid girl," Katilda growled as she crouched in the undergrowth, fumbling for her staff. "I could have saved us." So apparently Katilda was going to kill her sister, but that's not what Lenore wanted either. Katilda was ready to kill one of her people to save her coven. So we can see here that she is green-white, but she is not really the most peaceful person. And then the woman left the shadows and came closer, her eyes glowing green. So that's their sister, but it's Sarith, the Viper's Fang. Katilda, the woman sounded amused. Is that you? So, I think I have that here. Sareth, this is Sareth. Why didn't you aim at her? Lenore shouted, gesturing to the unknown woman. Sareth isn't the one wearing the mask, Katilda said, picking up her staff. Your sister is. All of Sareth's power is in that mask. Cinia is consumed by it. There's no hope for her now. So, Sareth calls forth the coiled one, a big snake, and Katilda laughed bitterly. I was a fool not to see it sooner. She will destroy us all. The eggs are starting to glow, and the woman whom Katilda called Sareth lifted her staff, aiming at Lenore and Katilda. Then they are being blasted back immediately, and when the let's see, I think Katilda's vision is cleared. She saw him coming out of the hole, the big snake. A wall of scaly flesh writhing in front of her sister. Lenore's mind froze, trying to take in the entirety of it, but she could not. So that's how big the snake was. She couldn't move, her muscles frozen in fear. And Katilda says, don't look at him, listen to me. If he eats her while she wears the mask, we are doomed. I need your help. So Sareth says, I need to save my sister, let me try. And Katilda nods, so we see how distant Katilda really is. Then we can hear a deep rumbling coming from the ground where the snake came from. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Sareth aiming her staff at Katilda now, vines launched from the trees like ravenous serpents and wrapped around Katilda. So Katilda is in life's danger right now, and she rose to her feet and turned to face Sareth. At her eerie whisper, a gust of wind whipped through the trees, gathering a swarm of leaves that seemed to roll with the razor-sharp edge, attacking Sareth this time. So she's really putting faith into Lenore and hoping that she can fix this. So Lenore takes his chance and goes after her sister, but her sister says, I cannot be saved, please run. And Katilda says, we must destroy her through her mind. So it's a little bit of she has different powers as well. She can speak in people's minds. She could make out the witch somewhere on the other side of the hole. Her sister's face was so calm, it made her nauseous. So Lenore moves up to her sister, and her sister says, rip it off, meaning the mask, of course. And then she's starting to pull, Lenore's starting to pull on the mask. And she finally manages. There's a short moment of silence, but then there's a rumbling. Lenore lets the mask go, and it tumbles down that hole, so it's not gone yet. She pulls her sister off with all the strength she had left, and with Katilda they limped back to the settlement. That was really it. Later we see Katilda again, but in these situations she's really just the witch that is there to help her govern. In this case we could really see her power of being able to make rash, or not rash decisions, but decisions to cut the arm off before it festers the whole body. And I think that's an important part of a leader, that you can make hard decisions.